So here you can see the name of the program file here is employee.java. So all your Java program files must be saved with any name, but the extension should be there .java. Okay. So all these things you have already studied in your previous class about writing some simple programs in Java. So just see here. So here in this program, there are two classes. The first class you can see EMP, the name of the class, and the next class you can see here is employee class. Okay. So yesterday someone had asked that can we create two or more classes in single program? So yes, you can see here in this program, two classes are there. Okay. And in one of the class, there must be a main method. If you remember that I had asked so many times the same question that what is main method and why it is necessary in Java program. So here you can see the statement of the main method. So in this statement, what I have to write or you have to write public static void main and you have to pass information string args. Okay. So every Java program must contain one main method, only one actually. Why? Because from the main method, the execution of any Java program starts. So if you don't declare any main method in your program, so the compiler will not be able to find out from which line it should start the execution of the program. So this is the place from where the execution of the Java program starts. Understood this thing? The need of the main method.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'm going to explain all these lines one by one. So don't worry about some complex statements are written here. Complex for you, I actually, because you don't have studied all these things right now. So I am going to assure you that by the end of your half syllabus, you will be able to write such type of program with yourself. Okay. So here in this class EMP, I am have taken EMP as shortcut for the employee. Okay. So the properties of employees I have taken here. So you can see the first property EMP name. It means employee name. So if there is an employee, so there will be name of the employee. Next you can see EMP means employee address. So these are the name of variables and these variables will store some data at some point in this program. And string, int, float. So all these are actually data types. If you remember from your class 8, you have you had already studied these things about data types. So we choose data type, appropriate data type actually, in order to store a particular type of data. So in first two variables, EMP name, EMP addr, I have taken string. It means this EMP name and EMP addr will store text type of values. So we already know that when we have to take any name, it means we are only going to type combination of characters, means alphabets or numbers also we can take. So whenever we have to store such type of data, there is need of a string here. Okay. So employee name and employee address, these two are taken in a string type. Okay. Next property of employee, you can see EMP ID. So it is actually employee ID. So for employee ID, I have taken int. Here int stands for integer type value. Means this emp ID variable will store an integer type of value. Understood everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Huh. Anyone, if you find any problem, any doubt, you can ask your question. Next three, you can see basic, DA and SAL. So these three variables are declared in float data type. So float data type is used to store decimal type values. So actually basic, DA and SAL, these three variables are there for storing salary values. So basic will store basic salary value. DA will store a particular type of allowance that is called dearness allowance. It is actually given to every employee. Okay, along with the basic salary. And this SAL stands for salary. So after addition of these two things, basic salary and DA, you will be able to find the total salary. So these are the three variables for salary purpose. And float data types are there for these three variables because the salary can be in decimal also. That is why I have taken float. And int, here you can see employee ID. So there is no need to take employee ID in decimal. Only integer type values are sufficient. So I have taken int data type for emp ID. And first two, emp name and emp address, these variables will contain a certain type combination of characters in terms of alphabets or numbers. That is why I have taken a string. Any problem?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are the properties of employee. So yesterday in our class, I had told that in a class we actually mentioned two things, properties of the object and behavior of the object. So in properties, these are the selected things I have taken here. You can see. And in the behavior, I have taken one method that is calc salary. Calc means calculate, SAL means salary in the short form. So these are the identifiers. You can take the name as per your choice. Okay. So in the calc salary, I have written only one statement and very simple it is. You can figure out. It is to calculate the total salary. So how to calculate total salary? You just have to add a basic salary plus DA. So you will get the total salary. Okay. Next method I have here is in data. So this in data I have here made in order to take input of all these properties, means employee name, address, ID, basic salary, DA. So all these things will be taken as input using this in data method. So don't worry about this method, how to declare or how to write. You just see what are the use of what this method. So you can
Sir,
see ask,
sir, why you have written void there?
void is actually the return type of this method. So whenever any method is not returning any value, so we have to write void there. So in place of void, I can write any other data type also, like int, float, byte, short, long. So I can write all any of those data types. But since this method is not returning any kind of value, so I have taken here void. So this method is only meant for taking input from the user. It means it will not return any kind of value after its execution. So that is why I have taken void here. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So you can just see here in these selected lines. So one statement is actually a message using this system.out.println. So the first message you can see, enter the name. So the name that is given by the user in input, that will be stored where? So that will be stored in this variable emp name. It is already declared here, you can see, as a string type. Okay, so you will come to know about this next line or next int, next float. These are the some predefined methods in your coming chapters. I think chapter number 3 or 4, I think. Okay, so don't worry about this. Okay, so this first these first two lines are there for taking input for the name. Next two lines are for taking input for the address. This in the same way for employee ID, basic salary, and DA value. Okay, so I have taken all these necessary input for my program. And you can see I have not taken input for salary SAL variable because this will be calculated by this calc salary method. Okay, so in order to calculate, I need only these two values, basic plus S plus DA. So basic is already there here in this line, you can see, and DA is already there here in this line. So the with help of this in data method, this program is now able to take input from the user, required inputs. Now you can see one more method is there, and the name of this method is show data. So this show data method is made here for displaying all these outputs. So you can see name, address, employee ID, basic salary, dearness allowance, and total salary. All these values are will be displayed using this show data method. Okay, so these are the things that are present in EMP class. Now move to the second class, that is employee class, and this employee class is actually containing this main method. So here in main method, this first two lines you can see, these first two lines are actually object declaration of EMP class. So this EMP class has got so many properties of the employee. So now I am able to declare objects of this EMP class, and these are declared here at this place, means line number 45 and 46 you can see. So the first object you can see manager, and the second object you can see clerk. So these are the two employees that are derived from that EMP class. Means this object manager can now access all these properties, means EMP name, EMP address, ID, basic, DA salary, in data, show data, everything it can access. In the same way, this clerk object can also access all these properties because these two objects are derived from the same class, and the name of the class you can see EMP. So you will come to know about these things in your coming chapters in much detail, how to declare objects. Okay, I think it was there in class 8 also. In one or two classes, I had explained how to create object. Okay, so now the next line you can see a message for the output. So enter details of the manager will appear, and then I have called two methods using manager object. So manager dot in data means this in data method will be called for this manager object here, and when it will be called, then it will ask all those input. You can see this in data method is there for taking input related to the object derived from EMP class. So two objects are there. So if I call this in data method using the manager object, so it will take input related to the manager. Okay. In the same way, I have called calc salary using this manager class. So it will calculate the salary of the manager. Now in the next line, means line number 50, you can see enter details of the clerk. So again, I have called these two methods in data and calc salary, but the only difference you can see that in the first scenario, I had called this in data calc salary using manager object, but here you can see I have called in data and calc salary method using clerk object. So this time in data will take input related to the clerk object. In the same way, calculate salary will calculate the salary of the clerk this time. Okay. Now we have left to display all these outputs related to manager as well as the clerk. So I have called this show data method using manager object, and here you can see I have called again the show data method, but using here clerk object. So let us have a look how to run this program. So I'm going to run this program using CMD. Okay. So if you remember from your class set, so the same command I am using here, cd dot dot to get one step back. Now I'm going to open the folder that is containing the program. So the name of the folder is Java files. You can see now I'm inside C drive and the folder name Java files. So in this folder, I have saved my program. So we'll tell how to compile. Which command is used for compilation?
So
Java C.
Java.c.
Java C.
Only Java C, not Java.c. Okay.
Yes, sir,
So
Java.
Java C. Then put a space, then name of the program file. So I'll suggest that whenever you name any Java program file, so give the same name as the name of the class that is containing the main method. So you can see here in this program, there are two classes. One is EMP and another is employee. So you should name the program with employee.java because employee class here is containing the main method. Okay. So Java C employee dot Java. So let us check for any error in the program. So you can see no error is there. So now I can run the program using Java command. So Java and again name of the same class which is containing the main method. So again employee, press enter. So you can see one or two messages. Enter the details of the manager. So in the detail first it is asking enter the name. So why only this message is showing? So just see here in this employee class. So first of all, you can see system.out.println and the message here is enter details of the manager. So you can see now this program is now executing from this main method. So in the main method, this is the first line to display the output. So in the output, it is enter details of the manager. And next you can see I have called in data method of manager class object, and manager object is of which class? EMP class. Means inside EMP class there is a method called in data. So we should look back to the in data. So here you can see in data method. So in this method, the first line here is enter the name. So that is why in the output it is enter the name. Understood everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
here
sir.
it is asking for the name of the manager. So I should give any random name like Rakesh Sinha. Then press enter. So now it is asking enter the address. So now I have to give the address. So I'm going to give Buxar. Now it is asking enter the employee ID. So you can just see here, it is coming in the same order as there in data method. Enter the name. So name will be stored here in EMP name variable. Enter the address. So EMP IDDR variable is there to store address. Next you can see enter the employee ID. So EMP ID. So in the same order it is following as in this in data method. Okay, so enter the employee ID. So I am giving 101, 101. Enter the basic salary. So basic salary I am going to provide 45,000. Next, enter the dearness allowance. So let us give him 4,500. And now it is saying enter the details of the clerk. So it now means that this in data methods execution is now over for the manager object. Okay, so the last input it asked is here you can see enter the dearness allowance. So after taking this value, it will move to the next calling statement. So manager dot calc cell. So it will be called after this in data method calling. And next you can see enter the details of the clerk, and again in data method is called using this clerk object. So now it is asking for the details of the clerk. Okay, so first it is asking enter the name. So I am going to give any random name like Manoj. Enter the address. So again I am going to give any random value, but enter the employee ID. So I'm going to provide 102. Enter the basic salary. So I'm going to give 23,599. Next, enter the dearness allowance. So give him 23%, 23,509.9 like this. So now you can see details of the manager. So name you can see Rakesh Sinha, address Buxar, employee ID 101, basic salary you can see, DA you can see, total salary you can see after addition of these two values, it is showing the total salary. In the same way, details of clerk it is showing, name Manoj, address Patna, employee ID 102, basic salary you can see, and dearness allowance and total salary. So this is how this program will execute. Okay. Any question you have?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, you have understood everything from this program.
Yes, sir, but it's very complex to remind.
It is complex to remind because it has several things inside this in the same program. But what was the objective? That to show you all how a program is implementing object-oriented programming approach. Okay, so don't worry about different commands in this program. Okay, all these things you will learn step by step in your coming chapters. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
So now I think all of you understood how this one program is implementing different object-oriented programming principles, but not all principles it is actually covering. It has no any inheritance, but it only covers encapsulation, data hiding, you can say, and polymorphism. No, polymorphism is also not there in this program. Okay, means it is one of the very basic program implementing class, object, and encapsulation principle of object-oriented programming. Okay, so if you want to add another employee object, so you can easily make. So just here you can see two employee objects are there. One is manager and another is clerk. So if you want to add one more, so simply what you have to do, you have to just write the same statement EMP, then name of the employee object. Means whatever the name you want, just for example, you can
Receptionist.
take any name you can suggest.
The receptionist or accountant.
Accountant. Okay, accountant. Okay, so EMP accountant equals to new EMP. Means this is the way to declare objects in Java program. Okay, so now you can take all details of accountant also just by putting this same order, like accountant dot in data, accountant dot calc salary, and you can display the output in the same way, just accountant dot show data. Just I'm going to show you, so I can put the output messages later on. So here I can type accountant dot in data in order to take input details of the accountant. Now there need of to calculate the salary of the accountant, so I have to call calc salary method like this, and then at the last we can display the output also, accountant. And in order to display the output, there is a particular method I have made, show data. Okay, very simple it is it or not? You can simply add a number of objects as per your requirement, and you can call the same method, means in data, calc cell, and show data. These three methods will be used by each and every declared object of this EMP class. Okay, means no need to write separate code for every object declared in your program. Understood, everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So do you need this program?
Yes, sir, in the group.
Class ended.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay then. I'll send after the class. Okay.